Namaskar, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed your silence and your meditation was nourishing. Why is silence so important? Silence brings the mind into a restful state, the mind from its activity, its constant activity in some of us. Activity and rest is built into the universe. Your bodies need to go to sleep. They've been active all day. They need to go to sleep, and nature produces darkness for that, a dark covering. And the body gets a chance to do its important job on the inside of detoxing and rebuilding. Where you don't disturb it. With your constant thinking. What is behind thinking is the ego, the doer. So your body needs to rest, and so does your mind. That's why we meditate, to bring the mind into restfulness. Sometimes the ego doesn't want that. That's why we create all these lights and we have activities in the nights. And we go against the natural rhythm of nature and our bodies. Circadian rhythm. That brings in melatonin to create sleep, to induce sleep. We go against that. We have all kind of lights everywhere. Even in the room where we're sleeping, we have lights. Some of us are fearful and we need a night light. But the best is when you have total darkness. So the ego is a restless one that doesn't allow the mind to come to rest. But what is there that will motivate us to want to bring the mind into restfulness? Because we want to be active, we want to create, we want to do. A lot of us are restless by nature. We need to act. We cannot sit still. We cannot keep the mind quiet. But how important this activity is, not just a nightly rest for the body, but the meditative rest, where the ego gets a chance to become quiet. When the ego truly becomes quiet, it is then that you can begin to experience what is behind the ego. Otherwise, you can't. When you're constantly in the chatter, in the emotion, in the desires, how can you become still? How can you even see what is behind? How can you even experience what is behind? That's why Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras that the chitta must become pacified. The chitta is the mind field, the field of the mind. It has to become pacified. There must not be a ripple in it. He says the ripples are called vrittis. He says that there should not be any vrittis in the chitta. Yogash chitta vritti nirodha, which means there should be no ripples in the ocean of the mind. How can that happen? Unless the ego finds resolution, until the ego comes at peace, until the ego desires nothing but to know itself. And to be a perfect instrument of what is behind. A simple message, be an instrument. But how do you do that? How do you do that with constantly wanting to be the doer? Yes, Lord. Oh, yes, Master. I'll do it. I'll do right breathing. And then the little subtle ego qualities rear their head. The subtle greed, the subtle pride, the subtle self-righteousness, the subtle anger. Oh, we disguise it with the gestures and the facial look, but deep inside it's there. Not every smile is a smile. And then we have ulterior motives. You cannot trust a world like this. It's an egotistic world. So the best is when your ego doesn't need to want anything anymore. It has had enough of the worldly things and totally not satisfied. What in this world satisfies you? You get a little bit of money, you want more, and you never stop wanting. You get a little bit of pleasure, whatever it is, and you never stop wanting. You make all kinds of excuses. Oh, just to justify your pleasures. But at the end of the day, it's a waste of energy, and it takes you nowhere. The pleasuring of the nervous system, it burns you slowly out. But how can the ego enjoy letting go and being an instrument? How can the ego let go? When it realizes only then that there is something more beautiful behind it. The little lamp will glorify its little light until the sun shines. The lamp will be the boss, but when the sun shines, you don't need the light anymore. Same with the ego. The ego will be the boss when there is darkness. But when there is light, the light of the self, the light of goodness, the light of wisdom, the light of compassion, the light of unity, the ego is stupefied, dummified. It begins to realize that it has no power. That is real. We call it apparent power, false power, phantom power. That's what your ego has. No matter how much you try to glorify the ego, satisfy the ego, there is no end to it. Absolutely no end. I wonder if you have figured that out yet and become tired of the ego's journey. That's when true silence comes, true peace comes. That's when you can truly sit in meditation and have no issues. We sit in meditation, we struggle for half an hour or 20 minutes. We struggle, we literally struggle. The mind can't be at peace. We're thinking about something here. The body can't be at peace. It's thinking about breakfast or lunch or whatever it might be, or dinner. We struggle. We're thinking about our lost opportunities. We're thinking about how little money we have in the bank. We think about what people think about us and how we can measure up to what they expect of us, or how can we overcompensate and be greater than what they think of us. That's a constant war that the ego is having. How can you just let go and be at peace? The wandering monk is at peace, but you don't have to be a wandering monk. You can just be sitting in the greatest office and be attached to nothing. You have it all, but you're not attached to it. That's a tall order, a hard one. Because when all the food spread is there, how can we not eat? How can we not indulge when all the best dishes that we like, our best dishes are there? How can we not engage? And the worst is when the ego thinks it knows. It's going to stay forever like that until it's humbled. Humility is a vow, is quite a stretch. Again, we justified. But I'm humble. Are you really humble? The spirit of the divine is truly humble. The greatest beings on earth are the humblest. That's how you put what is real humble. Doesn't matter where they sleep, the real ones. Doesn't matter what they eat. Doesn't matter what is before them. Any condition. They are contented to be of service to the universe, wherever they are placed. Are you? They're contented with whatever they get at the end of the day. Whatever comes in front of them, they're contented. Are you? Can you be contented and still work? As though you're trying to accumulate something, but you're totally contented, willing to share it? That is the spirit of freedom. That's when true silence comes in our being, at every level. We don't have to struggle for it. So if you can reach that place, your meditations will be super. And even your mind in daily life. When we think of activity, we think of, it's part of us. But so is silence. Restless nature is part of us, but so is peace. And the most beautiful thing is that they can coexist. I can be completely at peace, but I'm brainstorming. Attached to nothing that I'm brainstorming about, very open in the mind, willing to drop anything. I'm completely at peace, but I'm brainstorming. I can be with everybody and totally engage, but there's huge silence in my mind. I'm listening to everything intently and observing everything as a witness. So though engaged, I'm not engaged. Seems like opposites, right? But they coexist within us, the feel of stillness and the feel of activity. In meditation, you can breathe, but the center that you are observing from is stillness. You can think, but the center that you are thinking from is still. You can acquire things in the world, but you're totally unattached. You can be highly motivated, but you can drop everything. That is the spirit. That is freedom. That is peace. And that is the spirit of silence. To be truly silent is that spirit. So we need not be disengaged to be at peace. We can be fully engaged and be at peace. It's the mindset, the attitude, the consciousness. Engage but not engage. Active but not active. Not consumed, but nourished. Our bodies have it. Sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. Our minds have it. Stillness and activity. You can truly brainstorm when you're still inside. And you're open, the mind is open. You can truly listen when you're quiet. And you can truly speak when you're deeply listening. At the same time. It's two different levels. Activity is one level, but stillness is another. And the center of the universe is absolutely still, eternally still. Everything is moving around it, the wheel of time. But a center of consciousness and life, it's stillness. Stillness. That's my Sunday's message, everyone. Our entire being of energy moves from a center of stillness. Know it. Become it. Your center of being is stillness. The periphery is an active periphery, but the center of being is stillness. All the chakras are centered in stillness. The ego's root is stillness. Have a blessed day, everyone. I enjoy having you in the temple and having your company. Those of you who have joined us on the stream. Namaskar.